All right, Earnestly podcast. It's my first video pod in a while since getting my injury, and look who's back after a few months here. It's the degenerate himself, Zachary. Zach,
What's up?
how you doing? This is the first. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first appearance in the show of the year.
Probably.
Yeah, how you been doing, man?
I, I haven't had many nights off, I can tell you that much.
Working a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But to be fair, you enjoy that shit though, man.
Man, it's 16 hours shit, 16 hours a day now.
But again, you like work. You said yourself during the pandemic.
Yeah, I like to work, but when you do 16-hour shifts in a row, you get a little tired, buddy.
Are you at least off on weekends?
No.
You working Saturday, Sundays too, or you working this Saturday?
Like, it all varies. I always work Saturday day. I mean, it's season, so I work every Saturday night.
Right.
Work every Friday night. Usually there's something every Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no man.
You work like a guy that has like 5 kids or something, and you have no kids. You're married with no kids though.
Yeah,
Boredom.
no. It costs money to retire, man.
That's true, man. I mean, that's something I've been trying to wrap my head around now. We're the same age, trying to figure out. Okay, so we have what, maybe 25 years left of actual work ahead of us. If we should we make it that part?
Are you serious? I mean, you ain't collecting Social Security till you're gonna be over 70.
Yeah. If these bastards get their way, yeah, maybe gone altogether.
Exactly.
You got folks that are trying to sunset that shit now.
Dude, I can't believe we live in a state, right? I have already paid taxes for 26 years, and this dumb motherfucker, Rick Scott, says, you know what? Thank you for giving us 26 years worth of taxes, but you no longer deserve to get Social Security.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And people still
People love them, and then they're like, "Oh, how dare Democrats say Republicans want to do away with?" Are you fucking kidding me? They got plans. They vote every year to do away with shit like this.
Yeah, and then they get caught red-handed when they're actually like being broached about it. But we'll get to all that political mumbo jumbo. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, politics already?" Go, yeah, that's all. If you hear Zach and I talk off the record, we do dive into a lot of this shit.
I was right about the elections.
Well,
I told you Roe v. Wade was gonna matter, and
yeah, you're right. No, you're right.
You guys never wanted to believe that.
No, because I was very. I told you I was very I don't know. I was a pessimist on this because, again, while it was an issue, I wasn't. I didn't say it was going to be in play, but again, when you have gas prices be what it is and inflation, right in your wallet, people vote in the wallet first. But hey, you're right. You're right. Roe v. Wade was a big
you take away your rights. It's a whole. You don't even care about your wallet when your rights get stolen.
Right. Right.
Or at least sometimes.
Sometimes.
I mean, we live in a state where you're allowed to run over protesters, and if a riot breaks out while you protest, you're charged as a rioter in this state. So they've shit all over the First Amendment in this state.
Yeah. Freedom, though. Freedom. Don't forget.
Yeah. Freedom from learning about slavery.
Yeah. We'll get to all that later on the pod. First things first. Well, tonight we're recording on Wednesday night. It is the night before we get back to NBA basketball. Resuming the season tomorrow. Did you watch the All-Star game?
No, I watched I watched Slam Dunk contest.
Yeah, a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah,
that kid's pretty good,
dude.
Matt McClure,
6'2", and you can do that.
He doesn't look 6'2". He looks like he's like 5'8", 5'9". Doesn't look that big. But I on the last podcast I said to listeners that I haven't, look, I love the NBA basketball. We both do. We love NBA basketball. But there's one thing I will say I have not invested in a long time: the All-Star game. And quite frankly, that goes across the board, across all sports. I don't watch a Pro Bowl. I probably watch a little MLB All-Star game in July because nothing on that by that point. But the All-Star game is to me, it's just getting worse and worse and worse every year.
Well, with the exception of baseball where you have pitchers out there who are essentially an actual defense to every batter. No one plays defense in any other sport during the All Star game because they don't want to risk an injury. They don't want to hurt another player. But in baseball, pitchers are showing up, so they're there to strike out a hitter.
Yeah, yeah. Um, is the NBA All Star Game fixable? And if so, what would you do to fix it?
I think you'd have to tie home court to it. And even then, I'm you're talking about one game, and I don't think it would matter enough. And really, why do we care if the All Star game isn't 250 to 230 next year? What does it really matter?
Well, people complain about it. They don't take it seriously.
They don't care. We shouldn't care. The game doesn't matter. It has no
But that's what I'm
impact.
saying. But that's my point yesterday too. Like, to the ones that do care, like, does it really matter at the grand scheme with this all it is trying to entertain us at this point, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, really.
Really, they should turn it into 3-on-3s, first to 21, stuff like that.
Yeah, be a little creative with it. I can see that. Yeah, the idea you had about the home court advantage thing, I hate that idea because I was against Major League Baseball did that for a little bit, and I hate it because why it's shitty that you would reward a team that would win 88 games as a wild card, get hot in the playoffs, and they have a home field advantage over a 107 win baseball team. Which is bullshit.
But the one difference with the NBA, like doing it in the NBA versus Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball, the All Star game forces you to send at least one player from every team. So shitty teams with shitty players are having an impact. Whereas with the NBA, it is literally
The
the
best of the
best
best.
players. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think something you really can do. I mean, you can raise maybe the pot for players. If I heard one idea is that, like, each player of the winning team gets $1 million if they win. But most of these players that get an All Star game, $1 million is nothing for them, really.
I mean, it's not nothing, but
I mean, relative to what they are, like LeBron, $1 million LeBron is nothing, and neither is. But I get it.
hey, that's more than a game check for LeBron. That's 2 game checks for LeBron.
Yeah, I guess you have a point there. I don't know. I just think there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you just have to hope that one day these players will just, I guess, take it more serious and play defense once in a while. I mean, at least in the fourth quarter, play defense like used to. I don't know, man. I think we're at a time and place now where we just gotta accept where we're at in society. That sometimes not everything is taken as seriously as it used to be. Whereas back in the day, we watched the All-Star game, it was a little more serious.
Oh, absolutely. Uh, but the All Star game used to be the way in which the rest of America would see you.
Right.
Everything was so localized 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, you could play in OKC, and a kid in New York City could be your fan watching you and looking at your highlights 5 seconds after you dunk.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's a fair point there. We'll see. Obviously. All right. A couple things here. Well, I'm gonna ask you this. As I said, the season restarts. It resumes tomorrow. Tomorrow night. What's the biggest storyline in your eyes that's interesting to you as you get to this final stretch before the playoffs?
Oh, it's tough. I, I think one of them has to be NBA champions are right now in a play-in game again. That's gotta be up there.
What do you mean?
The Warriors
Oh, the Warriors,
literally
right? The
just
Warriors, right?
won the championship, and
Right.
now they have to fight for their lives to even be in the playoffs. I know what you want me to say. Some team 5 games out from being anywhere near 500.
You mean the Lakers?
Yeah. No. I think if that's not right now, if it's not the Golden State storyline, it's clearly the Phoenix trade. That has to be number one right now. And on a player standpoint, seeing if Jokic could get a three-peat and finish the season with a triple-double.
So let me say, well, the Golden State thing's interesting too because I think it's this idea by a lot of folks, even as we're so late into the year now. There's still a lot of people that think that, oh, they'll figure it out. Even just give them a 10, 15 game stretch, they'll figure it out. They'll go on a big streak and they'll avoid the play-in.
Yeah.
Even though we're so late in the year, though. But we forget now, Steph Curry's hurt. He's out. He's probably gonna be out probably a few more games before the season. Before I'm sure he's not playing tomorrow. So there's that angle, of course, and with the way the West looks right now, like you were teasing the Lakers for a second, though. But let's be real here. The Lakers are a 13 seed in the Western Conference, but yet they're only 3.5 games behind for the 6th seed.
No, they're more. They're like
no, they are.
They're like 5 games back of the 6th seed.
Let me try to make sure of that. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me make sure of that real quick. But they're within earshot of avoiding playing. No, look, they still got to go 17-6.
From the play-in, there's 2 teams in front of them who are better than them.
All right, so right now they are 14 back. So they're 3.5 back. They're 3.5 back of Dallas. No, I'm right. Dallas is 6th seed, and the Lakers are 3.5 games behind Dallas for the 6th seed. It's crazy, right? I know.
I could have sworn it was bigger. I had just looked at it.
No, Golden State's right now is the 9th seed right now in the West. Not 8, they're 9. Yeah. So not only is Golden State in the playing situation, they're in the elimination process stage of it too. Like if this holds, now look at the good thing we're going to say is that New Orleans is fading away now, and Zion's not going to be out. He's probably going to be out the rest of the year, most likely. Like they announced, but he's going to be out for a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
So the Pelicans will continue to fall apart. Minnesota's playing much better basketball as of late, but we'll see how that plays out the rest of the way. Golden State could probably at least get to that 7-8 spot, which means they'll have two cracks to get to the playoffs. But if what you have right now here, for example, holds, which I don't see it holding, but if this argument say it happens, this is one of the bigger like shocks of the season. And again, remember we were doing over-unders in the podcast back in October, and remember the over-unders about the Warriors being. Remember I was saying how it was way too low. It felt way too low.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Golden State. Vegas knows what the fuck they're talking about apparently. But yeah, the Golden State thing it's interesting because like there's a lot of people like myself who still thinks that once they get in the playoffs, everything will fix itself. And maybe I'm just call me someone that's seen his team has been great for the last 8 years, but I don't know. I mean, maybe they are a play-in team. Maybe this is it.
They still dominate at home, so you make the playoffs, the actual playoffs, and half the games are at home. All you gotta do is still one on the road, and you're okay anyways.
Let me ask you this: do you see the Warriors in the play-in this year? Do you think they'll avoid it?
Oh, I think they'll end up avoiding it.
I mean, it all depends. It's all about timing at this point. It all depends when Steph gets back here. So right now, as I said, the only game and a half behind Dallas for the 6th seed. Dallas lost 3 games in a row, and this is with Kyrie and Luka playing together. So,
well, there's only a couple of people out there who thought that would really work. Two ball dominant guards.
Yeah, I was skeptical about that pairing. To be honest with you, but that's just me. So yeah, you said Golden State was one thing. You also mentioned something else there. I forgot what you said.
Well, I mean, the Suns. You look at KD, you have Chris Paul. He is clearly on the decline and just trying to hang on to win a championship. They've become the favorites. So do they make it to the finals? That's got to be a storyline.
Okay. So let's stay on things for a second. So, am I the only one that's saying hold up a second? Like, yeah, they'll be good, but hold up. Like, do we know when KD's getting back here? Number one, again, there's 23-ish games left in the year. Yeah. First off, when does KD come back? And then when he does come back, is there enough time for him to gel with the team before playoff time? This is not October, November. We're now in February now.
I think KD has the type of skill set where he doesn't have to dominate the ball in order to dominate the game. So to have him gel, I think is going to be really easy, especially when you have a point guard like Chris Paul, who prefers to pass it
Yeah,
instead of trying to score.
it's a fair point. I do think also having another guy like KD, it does help Chris Paul. Takes pressure off of Chris Paul. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's not going to be one. He's going to be relegated to more of a support guy, as opposed to being a core guy. Which at this point, at age 38, age 37, how old he is now, does actually bode well for him. But I'm everybody is sitting there saying that if they don't win it this year, right now, it's a bust. And I'm like, hold it. That's a little too no. If we're
I
talking next year, I'm with you on that.
no, see, I agree with this is the year because what happens next year? Chris Paul is older, slower, and falling off the cliff even further. KD, older, still injury prone. Nothing's changed there. So, quite honestly, they need to do it this year when they're as young as they're going to be together.
But this is also a 2 year window, 2 3 year window. I mean, these guys are locked in contracts. KD has another 4 years on his contract. Booker just signed a new contract, I think, last year. Aiden just signed a contract this past offseason. So this is going to be the core for the next at least 2 to 3 years, guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know if Chris Paul can be a point guard for that team 2 years from now. Maybe a bench point guard, but
I'll give it two more. I'll give it a max 2 years. I think he has one more solid year in him next year, playing a lesser role next year. And after next year, all bets are off.
yeah.
I can roll with that. And was there anything else that you were looking forward to the second half of the year?
I mean, I want to see the Joker get a triple double.
I
To
mean, he is
see a
MVP right now.
center finish with 10 assists, that would blow my mind.
A lot of pushback on the whole thing with Jokic now. Like, does he deserve MVP 30 year in a row? I mean, why? I don't understand the pushback. Like, I get like your favorite player's player didn't do it, but it doesn't mean you should penalize Jokic for it. He should right now, if this sustains right now, the number one seed in the Western Conference. He's also upped his game. He's having a better year now than he did last 2 years.
Yeah.
You should reward the best player of that campaign. I'm sorry. It's not a popularity contest.
Absolutely. And to me, it's him and Tatum too. This idea of pushing the Greek freak to win the award, or say, "Oh, this is Embiid's season this year. We got to give it to him. He's been so close. We got to give it to him."
No, I'm with you. I hate that. Like, earn it. Like, be special. Denver is number one in the conference. It's wide open. We have to give him credit for that. And I mean, look, obviously there's question marks about Jokic and the postseason, and we can get to that. But the MVP does not. You can't tie the MVP and the playoffs. It's literally a regular season award. I wish folks would stop doing this shit. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. I hate hearing them talk about we need to wait till the whole season's over. What they did in the playoffs and what they did in the finals. No, that should have no bearing on league and MVP.
Totally agree with you on that one. You saw news. Nate McMillen got fired by the Hawks.
Yeah. What are the storylines you're looking at?
Well, obviously the Heat, of course, but that's just me. That's a be a homer. No, I'm actually interested in the top of the East and how that plays out. Milwaukee's a game behind Boston.
Yeah.
Philly's not far behind.
Can Giannis is supposed to miss like a week or something.
Yeah. Can Cleveland gain some ground, and because now that Brooklyn's with KD and Kyrie out of there now. Brooklyn's Brooklyn's held so much as it could since those trades happened, but we don't expect to be a top 4 team, top 5 team.
No, I would expect Brooklyn to still be in the play-in by the time.
Yes, they put up enough goodwill early to do that. But my question is, Cleveland, are they the legitimate 4th team now? Like, obviously Miami gets Kevin Love. I think it makes the Heat marginally better. We'll see how that goes going forward. But Cleveland, look, we know Donovan Mitchell's going to show up. We know he's going to show up. It's those young players. It's the Garlands. It's the Evan Mobleys. Can they take the next step? Can they challenge Philadelphia? Challenge Milwaukee and Boston? I still say no for the time being, but I like to see it. I like to see it. So that's what we're looking forward to the rest of the year is the top of the Eastern Conference, how it shakes out. Like I think that your three is Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia right there, and let's see how close they can get to challenging those three teams on top.
Do you even see anyone coming up from the very bottom into the play-in, or do you think it's pretty much set 1 through 10?
Well, I mean, you look at the It's funny you said that because touching on the Atlanta Hawks and McMillen getting fired, can that galvanize the team? I mean, obviously, him and Trae Young didn't get along, and it's just been for months and months and months on end.
Yeah.
So if they get, I don't know if they get Quinn Snyder now or at the end of the year, and then in the offseason, I don't know how they'll play out. But can the Hawks make a run late and get a 6 seed, maybe? I expect Miami to still keep us, right now they're 7, but I expect Miami to at least get the 6 seed, in the East, maybe possibly 5, depending on how New York and Brooklyn shake out in the next month and a half or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, any other teams in the East that can jump in there? I mean, I'm looking at these teams here. I mean, Washington. I don't see Washington doing it.
Orlando could sneak in for a 10 seed.
I'll tell you what, man. Look, we sit here and we fucking make fun of the Magic.
Bronze and Pablo, man.
Let me tell you something right now, though. The Orlando Magic are fun to watch. They are fun to watch, and every time I watch them on TV, they are always competitive.
Hey, we show up against the good teams. Yeah, we can't beat even average teams. We can't even be competitive against average teams. I don't understand.
So right now you're 4 back of the 10th seed to get into play.
And think about who's dropping right there. So
yeah, well, I mean, look, I don't think Miami being the 7. I think Miami will avoid it at some point. You look at Atlanta, Washington, Toronto. Those are the 3 teams that got to eyeball into hoping they fall down to earth. I mean, Atlanta, we'll see the new coaching hire or the interim.
Toronto falling.
Well, here's the thing with Toronto. They didn't train anybody.
No,
they had all these guys on. They had all these guys on for sale, to trade bait, and then never got these trades through. So maybe these guys tried to make one more run to the playoffs, and one more for the Gipper. I don't know. But keep an eye on Orlando's interesting. Like I said, I watched them all year this year. They've beaten Boston twice this year. They beat Denver, I think, once, and they have some really good wins under the belt, man. That's a team when we do this next year, these podcasts, and we do these over-under stuff, they may get a 29-30 number.
I remember who they are.
Yeah, for once. It's your team. They give them love, man. They give them love. But let me ask you that.
If we get that 100-mile-an-hour bright line to Orlando, I might go see them.
Whoa. But sticking on with the Hawks here, name $1 million by the Hawks. Too soon?
No. They're one of the biggest disappointments of the season.
The last 2 years, really, be honest with
you. And you can't trade. They can't trade Young. And they just made the move for Murray, so they couldn't trade him. They always want to get rid of their front court, but nothing happens. So you had to do something. If you're going to try and make the playoffs, you had to fire the coach.
Yeah. And not just this year, last year too. Made a conference finals 2 years ago. Did they fall into the play-in last year, and now they're in the play-in again this year if things play out the way it is. They seem to be going backwards right now. And I'm not saying it's only his fault, but I mean, you're not going to fire the player, right?
Exactly.
Not firing the owner. So someone has to take the fall. And it's always a coach. Well, the rumors are they may get Quinn Snyder. So we'll see how that plays out. But we'll talk more NBA through the weeks to come because obviously, like I said, the season starts tomorrow, and we have a nice little stretch run before the playoffs begin. Switch up to NFL here. We haven't had a chance to talk about NFL since December. We had a Super Bowl obviously since then, and the Kansas City Chiefs won it. Second title in 4 years. Patrick Mahomes, second Super Bowl MVP, second title on the whole 9. It's like two MVPs also on top of that. Let's discuss it, man. Pat Mahomes, I want your opinion on this. Is he, in your opinion, a top 5 all-time quarterback now?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you I couldn't make an argument against him.
Right.
So who do you throw out? Like for me, you got to go Brady, Montana, probably Manning,
But
and
Eli?
then for me, Elway's number 4.
Which Manning? Eli Manning?
Hey, man's got jokes.
You used to, dude, remember our early podcast back in 2011? You used to shit on Peyton Manning, remember?
Look, you telling me he doesn't look like he has the touch of the Downs?
No, Peyton, not Eli.
Oh, Peyton? Good Lord. Look, I'm putting him there because everyone else wants to put him there. He would never be on my Mount Rushmore. To me, Peyton Manning is essentially Drew Brees, and no one has Drew Brees.
Whoa.
Yes. Drew Brees with Sean Payton and what they did in New Orleans, he could just manipulate a defense just as well as Peyton Manning could.
So
they were both accurate.
But Peyton's top 5 though, all time overall.
For most people, yeah.
So Manning, Brady, Manning, Montana, I guess Elway. You said Elway 4.
Yeah.
Not in order. Any order doesn't matter. And then Mahomes, right?
Mahomes, yeah.
I'll be honest, yeah. And here's the thing: two people making cases. Well, he doesn't play long enough. Well, here's the thing, though. Because first off, what you said there, that's what most top 5s look like as it is. Those 5 guys. Mahomes is already matched Manning on rings, matched Elway on rings. Who else you said? You said Elway, Manning, Elway, Manning.
So there was Montana. He didn't even win 2 rings by his 5th actual season of starting.
Who's that?
Joe Montana.
He won it
in his first 5
year.
seasons. He hadn't won 2 rings.
Yeah, so 79, 80, 1, 82, 83. He won in his 6th year, second one.
Yeah, so then you look at Brady. He's the only one you could literally throw up with the same type of stats.
And here's the thing with Brady, though. His first 3 rings, he wasn't the guy. Like, he was still pretty good.
That had a lot to do with defense.
Yeah.
And an amazing kicker.
Right. That was a well-rounded team that Brady was. I'm not knocking Brady. Brady was still really good, but Brady wasn't what we know him to be. Was all said and done. In fact, it's funny, like discussing Brady's legacy too. Also, we hadn't had a chance to discuss Brady's legacy since he's retired, and we all acknowledge he's a GOAT. You and I acknowledge he's the greatest of all time. Yeah. We acknowledge that. But think about this for a second, and really think about this really hard. How many actual seasons could you say Tom Brady was the best quarterback in the league in 23 years? Because if you really think about it, there isn't that many.
Ooh, that's where I think you're overplaying it. I think on his probably last 10 to 15 years in the league, he was easily probably a top 3 every year.
Oh yeah, no. Be clear. He was top 2 or 3 every year.
Nitpicking,
right?
A year, or are you going to penalize him because he threw 2 more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers, yet he threw 1,000 more passing yards and 10 more touchdowns? Like, he had an MVP stolen from him by Aaron Rodgers, who didn't even have the stats or the wins. I think
that's tough, man.
I think people remember how the defenses were so great for the Patriots the first 10 years of his career, and kind of bring that along with his overall history and forget how absolutely great he was the second half of his career.
No, he was awesome. Well, this is not a knock on Brady. I'm just saying, because Brady was definitely, I would say definitely in the last maybe I even say for some regards, the first half of his career when he was game manager, he was still probably top 5, top 3 in the league. But I would say 15 years, the only years I could really truly say he stood out as the best player, definitely 07. Definitely 07.
07, 08. I mean, back to back years.
Well, 08 he got hurt though. He was best player coming into the league that year, but he got hurt that year. I would say probably 09 as well too. I think from 10, 11 on, Aaron Rodgers took that mantle as the best quarterback in football.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is a joke.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing with Kobe Bryant too. For example, like if you look at Kobe Bryant's career, for example, how many years would you say he was actually the best player in basketball? Maybe 2 or 3. Like the absolute number one guy in basketball, because Shaq was number 1 for a good while. That
yeah, absolutely.
And one could argue Tim Duncan was at least 1 or 2 years also too.
But now you're taking all players at all positions versus just quarterback.
Well, basketball's a little different, obviously. I'm just saying the logic. Look, we're not saying Brady's not the GOAT. He's still the GOAT. Let's be clear about that. I'm just saying that if you really break it down to a more nuanced, contextual conversation, one can argue that while Brady's the GOAT, and no one's going to argue that there might be there's not as many seasons in his career as you may think that he would have been considered the best player quarterback in that league that particular year. There aren't that many.
How many years were there more than one guy that could even be debated about as who was the best quarterback? Because it was literally just Brady and Manning Manning was winning on touchdown passes to wide receivers.
But and Manning was considered the best quarterback in the league for that stretch too.
Over
Brady,
a quarterback who couldn't be any of the top defenses.
Right, it wasn't still Brady.
He couldn't get past the Steelers.
Right,
couldn't get past the Ravens. Couldn't get past the Patriots defense. So what he was doing was beating up and putting huge numbers on shit teams. And that's why I say you have to be careful about saying one guy was the best that season.
Right. No, and I get all that. Like I said, I think, now when we say these things, Brady was definitely top 2 or 3 in the league in those years that we wouldn't consider him top best quarterback. And then even recently, not last year, sorry, but the year before that, we would probably still say he was top 5 quarterback in the league.
I would have said it. If you're talking about 2 years ago, I would have said he got robbed of the MVP by Aaron Rodgers. So that's what I'm saying. There weren't even 2 guys better than him, other than it was Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
You go back 2 more years when Brady first got to Tampa, Josh Allen was sucking that second year. It wasn't until he got Brian Daboll.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other conversation to have about that guy next year. I mean, his stock is a little lower now than it was going into last year. We'll see about that, obviously. More quarterback talk here. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. Obviously, you're a Washington Commanders fan, but you have said in this podcast for many years that you do root for the Ravens as well too.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're a big LJax guy, of course. I mean, let me ask you this: if you're Baltimore, do you pay him all guaranteed money or no?
Well, absolutely, I would.
Right.
If I'm pretty much any owner in the NFL, I would pay my quarterback all guaranteed money. If I thought he's the franchise quarterback, and I think Lamar Jackson is a franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question.
Okay.
I keep hearing they're like, oh, well, Deshaun Watson still was the outlier. It had never happened before. Well, Kirk Cousins played this game and got a fully guaranteed contract also from the Vikings. And then when he redid his deal and got an extension, it was fully guaranteed. So we need to stop saying only one quarterback has got it. he is technically a free agent. If they put the non-exclusive, I would be willing to say there's going to be at least 3 to 4 teams that'll offer 200 million plus guaranteed. And
Here's
they
the
could have
question.
solved. The other thing is they could have solved this problem 2 years ago. Signed him to a contract when he was asking for 35 million to 40 million. And they're like, nope, we're not going to pay you that money. And
Yesterday's price ain't today's price, buddy.
And the money went up. So he asked for more money because the price went up. And they're like, nope, we're not going to pay you. That's too much. And this is the problem they're in now.
And it's all their fault.
Absolutely.
They could locked him in a year ago, and they chose not to. They fucked around and found out, right?
Yeah, and they're trying to avoid. They don't want to pay him $45 million even 1 year, and they're gonna have to pay him 45 no matter what, because they're gonna have to do an exclusive franchise tag.
Yep.
You can't go non-exclusive and be like, okay, I'll take a mid first rounder this year and a late first rounder next year for Lamar. Like that, you can't do that because every team will jump at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this then: Is Lamar in a Ravens uniform this August?
No.
Where's he go?
I would say, I would hope for Miami. I would hope Miami pulls the trigger and makes a trade and gets him.
You know, if because of Miami, we're getting tickets to some games.
Oh, hell yeah.
We got to. You and I.
But if it's not Miami, probably Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the one I keep hearing. Atlanta is one of the big
they'll have the draft picks.
Yeah, and I think they got cap room also too. I think they're pretty cap healthy now too. Also, and that's my problem with Baltimore too, especially like if you want to pay the guy, then let him go. Like get your assets and call it a day.
Yeah, now they can't even do that. They can't even get the assets.
He's still getting more than 2 first rounders. He's getting at least 3 first rounders.
Well, it depends. If they put the non-exclusive, all the team has to do is give 2 first rounders. That's it. So they have to go exclusive, jump from the 32 and make it 45, and then they can try and negotiate a trade. But since Lamar will not have signed his franchise tag number yet, they can't even trade him without his approval.
Yeah. Again, Baltimore fucked themselves royally here.
Absolutely. I learned that from Washington.
Huh?
I learned it from Washington and Kirk Cousins.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. And obviously...
and he was nowhere near as special as Lamar.
That's the thing. Lamar is a bona fide top 5 guy in the league right now. Yeah. Bona fide, when healthy. I mean, he'll get his money, I think, because there's too many teams that are clamoring for him that he'll get paid. Whether it's Baltimore,
he's gonna get his money.
He's getting his money. Baltimore's really, and that's the thing with Baltimore too. You literally put your entire team is built on this guy, not just on the field, but off the field, marketing the whole 9. Yeah. And you're literally not going to pay this guy? Okay, fuck around and find out. This will send him back 3-4 years easily.
And why won't you pay the 230? Give him exactly what Deshaun got with $1 million more. Give him 231 guaranteed over 5. Because guess what's coming around the corner right after he signs? Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert getting 300 million plus deals.
Yesterday's price ain't today's price.
That's right. So you sure don't want to wait for that if you're already trying to be cheap.
Yeah.
Imagine Herbert or Burrow signs a contract extension before Lamar does. It's all over for Baltimore then.
Yeah. More quarterback stuff. If you're in New York Jets, who should you covet more? Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr? Looking at it broadly, of course, not just because of who's better.
For the simple fact, I don't believe they're as close as people want to believe. I don't really believe the Jets' defense is a Super Bowl contending defense yet.
Oh, you don't think so?
No. Maybe playoff caliber to get you to playoff, with decent quarterback, but I don't see them as a Super Bowl contending defense. Then I have to decide: do I want to pay 50 million plus to Aaron Rodgers and give up a shit ton of draft picks?
Closer to 60 too. That's 50 million plus. It's closer to 60.
Yeah. Okay. See, or do I want to pay $40 million a year to Derek Carr and keep all my draft picks?
So it's there. Okay.
I'm gonna keep my draft picks and sign Derek Carr if I'm the Jets.
So that's the thing too. Also, like I would go Rodgers if it doesn't cost me an arm in a leg. Unfortunately, it's probably going to cost you an arm and a leg. Yeah. And therefore, because of that, I'd rather take a shot on Derek Carr, who still makes you marginally better, but you keep your core and you keep your players, and maybe you get a wild card next year.
Here's the other reason why I say hold the phone on Aaron Rodgers. You play in the weak-ass NFC, and you play in the weak-ass NFC North, right?
Fake-ass Minnesota.
Now you're going to come to the big boy league of the AFC where the quarterbacks can play. And you're telling me he couldn't win more than one Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl one time. He's now going to go to the big boy league and he's guaranteeing you a shot at the Super Bowl? No. He might give you a better chance than Zach Wilson, but for everything you have to give up and pay, he's not really giving you a better shot at the Super Bowl than Derek Carr.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. And it doesn't even matter. I think he'll be in the Packers uniform come September. Now, that being said, I do believe that the reports are coming out last couple of days about the Packers being fed with Rodgers, the front office. I believe those rumors. I believe those.
Well, they could have said that 5 years ago, and I would have believed it then too.
Yeah, but it's Aaron Rodgers, so it's hard to let go of something that's someone that he's a fucking asshole and a whack job, but he's still fucking good and he's still valuable to our franchise. Both could be right.
Okay. Another thing, how we talk about quarterbacks being great per season and everything. You hold Aaron Rodgers in the highest regard.
I do.
You do. Yes, you do.
As a talent, yes, absolutely. As a talent, I don't regret that whatsoever.
He couldn't drag the team to the playoffs. All right. We have to be cognizant of that. You can say he's a great quarterback, but how many games did he even throw for over 250 yards last season?
Not many.
And he didn't do it that many times the year before either.
In fact, he hasn't over 300 yards in a year and a half at least.
Yeah. So I think we have to be cautious of thinking Aaron Rodgers is still the great Aaron Rodgers. Just because Tom Brady played to 45 doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers is going to be great at 39.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Any other offseason things? Oh, Daniel Jones. What do you do with the Giants? Like, there's a rumor came out today. I heard something on a podcast that said the Giants were preparing actually to offer Jones a 5-year, $190 million contract, which is about $38 million a year. Daniel Jones supposedly wants $45 million a year, which is he's smoking crack, of course.
Wait,
and he's now trying to fight.
You're telling me if you weren't the quarterback of the New York fucking Giants and you just led your team to the playoffs, and here comes the team saying, "Hey, we'll give you 37." You're not going to ask for more money?
Of course, I'll ask for $50 million. I'll ask for $50 million. You kidding me?
Yeah. So let's not kill.
No. I'm not criticizing him. His move. I think it's the right move.
Absolutely.
I think the Giants are smoking crack if you consider that number.
Yeah.
And look,
the Jets considering it is the crazy thing. Daniel Jones putting it out there, or someone in his camp putting it out there, that's genius.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, here's the problem with the Giants through the years, and this is part of the reason why they've been so bad the last 10 years, prior to this past season, of course, is they tend to panic sign guys and pay them over market value. And then when those guys go on the team and they don't show out, and they either cut them, whatever it may be, they have all this dead cap money on their books that they can't get rid of for a couple of years, and it sets the team back, quite a few years. So the Giants in their head is probably thinking, we got to lock in this guy. Or do you have to do that? You still have the franchise tag. I think you should negotiate Saquon, get the number of Saquon, give him his 3-year deal he needs. Okay, you tag Daniel Jones, obviously. Say, okay, look, listen, you were decent last year, but let's be real here. You're not even a top 12 guy right now in the league. All right, so you need to prove it another year, which I agree. No more hand holding by Brian Daboll. I mean, hell, part of the reason why I say Brian Daboll's coach of the year is because he was hand holding the motherfucker all year long.
I agree. I mean,
there you go.
But if I'm the Giants, you know what I'm doing the non-exclusive franchise tag. Let's see if someone will give me 2 first-rounders for Daniel Jones. Because, again, it's the same situation with Lamar. Are you going to go non-exclusive so you can only pay him 32? Or are you going to go the exclusive and pay him 45? So you had to decide that with Daniel Jones. And I would go non-exclusive and pay him the $32 million.
Yeah.
And risk someone matching the offer and giving me 2 first-rounders.
I would too.
And then I would just negotiate with Saquon. I wouldn't even franchise him either.
Nope.
And I'd be more than happy to let him walk and sign Tony Pollard for $10 million, $11 million, instead of giving Saquon 16 or 17.
I mean, Saquon's special though, bro.
Really? He's had a special year. One special year.
No.
I know you love.
I actually agree. Zach, I actually agree with you. I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that he's a special. It's hard to just say, whatever. We'll bring in Tony Pollard, for example. Like, I mean, look.
Yeah. But remember, all those special running backs. There's only so many plays they can play.
Well, the way I see it is this, though, and I do the math on this all the time. Like, if you get a guy for 3 years, you give me 2 good years, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
It's backwards math you play in sports, All right. Switching gears real quick before we get you out of here. A little bit of politics talk. So I saw a thing. I saw an article by Politico today about Joe Biden, and he said publicly that he intends to run next year for re-election. But internally, they were saying there was a deadline they placed, actually, a February deadline that they haven't matched yet to make it official. And now they push it to April, I guess, now where they're going to wait till April to make an announcement, of course. But it is feeling some little speculation that maybe Joe Biden is rethinking things, or at least getting more thought as to run for election. Now remember, he's 80 now, right?
Yeah.
He'll be 82 if he's inaugurated again. Okay. You and I, we've had a discussion about Joe Biden for quite a few times on this podcast about what the age thing, all that. Look, you were right. You were right when you said on earlier in the podcast, the Democrats outperformed themselves in the midterms. It was not a red wave.
Hey, we won the Senate.
Right.
We outright won the Senate.
But what did I say too on the podcast last year when this happened on one of my solo shows? That because of that, there's this idea now that, and probably in Joe Biden's head and in the Democratic circles, that, oh, wait, so that means Joe Biden maybe is more viable than we realize. Which, again, you talk to a lot of Democrats, you see polling out there, they don't want Joe Biden running again. Even though the Democrats did well in the midterms, they still don't want Joe Biden run for election. So what happens here? Joe Biden, should he run for re-election? And if he doesn't, who should put up? What's your thoughts on Joe Biden?
Well, he absolutely should not run. And even if
because because you don't want him to run, or because politically speaking, it's better for Democrats for him not to run.
I mean, I don't want him to run. I don't like a lot of his policies. I don't trust him.
And you're a Democrat for the record.
And I don't believe someone in their 80s should be running a country of 300 million people. I don't.
guys, for the record, this is a very liberal Zack the Degenerate here. Very
I
liberal.
honestly don't believe anyone in their 70s should even be running our country. All right, there is a reason why your knowledge goes, ability to use your knowledge goes like a bell curve up, and then it comes down. And I think by the time you're in your 70s, it's on its way down.
Oh, without question.
So, I mean,
think
the reasons why I don't want him to run versus why probably Republicans are saying he shouldn't run, or some Democrats are saying he shouldn't run, are probably different. I don't think we should be funding the Ukraine war the way we are.
Agreed.
I honestly, I don't think we should be handing over the intellectual property of all these designer drugs that the government funds and then allows corporations to make billions every year off of. And he's totally for the pharmaceutical industry. So I don't like that. I would love to see us crack down on the cryptocurrencies. And if you're going to talk about going into green energy and, we need to do away with carbon and climate and all that, guess what's horrible for our environment? Crypto mining.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of energy used for crypto mining, holy fuck. As far as who should go, all right, Gavin Newsom would be up there. He's front and center as a California governor. You're going to see the Illinois governor, if Biden doesn't run, probably make a run. Ro Khanna would be a guy I would be super excited to see run. If you need a woman, there's always Jill Stein.
You voted for her in 2016, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So, if you're a Democrat who wants Medicare for all, equal treatment of all people, believes in science, doesn't believe in believes in anti-war, totally anti-war, and you have to be sexist and have a woman be president, then Jill Stein should be the woman that every woman gets behind.
But the problem is those names you put out there are names that I don't know if they can draw moderates, middle independents that tilt elections. That's the issue.
Are you serious?
In my opinion, anyway.
Moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, independents, guess what? They all believe in. They think they're getting ripped off by their health care. They think their drug prices are too high. Think corporations are taking advantage of the system. So I don't understand where those people are extremes when they have the view that 75% or more of the population has.
No, I see what you're saying there. It's just the question is that Joe Biden is probably the safe spot. Like, he's not great. We all and I think most, it's funny. A buddy of mine who's a far right guy, a very good friend of mine, but it's very far right. He sent me a text saying talking about how Joe Biden, this and that. And I don't understand how 81 million people still vote for this guy. And I told him, like, you don't understand. All this I still don't understand. The reason why is because look at the other option. That's why they didn't vote for Joe Biden. They voted against Donald Trump. Like, that's a to me. And I told him what you need to understand is that Joe Biden winning the election 2020, in spite of all the issues that he has around him, is a referendum on you guys. That people understand Joe Biden is not, someone that is a viable, president, but well, rather that option than the other guy because the other guy is, as face it, people say it's right crazy.
Yeah, look. Everyone seems to forget the last year to year and a half in office for Trump. Country burning to the ground,
COVID,
pandemic raging, while being lied to, being told it's not even airborne or deadly.
right?
Well, I think we found out over 1 million Americans died from it, so must have been airborne and deadly.
Yeah.
You know,
And the
and
insurrection, of course.
his only accomplishment, his legit only accomplishment, is giving a 40% tax cut to businesses and reducing the tax rate on the wealthiest 1%.
Yeah.
Like how you champion a guy whose only policy he passed is a tax cut.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. Speaking of the GOP, well, last thing I just got to get out of here. It's really early, really, really early, but I'll ask anyway. Who's winning the primary next year? You think next year the nomination?
Trump.
You think Trump's winning it? I think so too.
Look, when you have Republicans and you get them on video, you get them on audio, and they're champion cutting Social Security, champion cutting Medicare, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're fighting the wokeness that doesn't exist. DeSantis won't have a shot because the Trumpers, they're not flipping.
No. The bigger the field, also too. I think the better for Trump.
Oh yeah.
So you have Nikki Haley right is already decided to run. Okay, Tim Scott's supposed to enter the race also at some point too. Glenn Youngkin also enter the race. DeSantis at some point.
John Bolton has
John
already.
Bolton, yes.
Dude, he was at my club. I want to say maybe a month ago for, holding out his hand for donation checks.
Mm.
And you know how many Secret Service and police cars we had to have? We had 5 squad cars.
For John Bolton.
For a former Secretary of State warmongering fuck. We were paying for 2 Palm Beach Sheriff deputies.
Mm-hmm.
We were paying for 3 Secret Service vehicles. So that is at least 2 Secret Service in each vehicle. So we needed 8 fuckers to guard this piece of shit.
Oh,
and that's going to be
I'm assuming you're not a fan
long.
of the guy. Judging from that language, you're not a fan of the guy.
That guy has at least 1 million dead Iraqis on his soul, and at least 10,000 Americans dead, thanks to him pushing lies and conning George W. Yeah, I would say he's one of the absolute worst human beings on the planet.
Right. So DeSantis, no shot.
No shot. Not if Trump stays in it.
Does DeSantis even enter the race is the question. He's not even in yet.
Oh, he wants to enter. He's going to enter it just to raise money. Even if he sees it as he doesn't have a chance, it allows him to build up his war chest even more.
Well, we'll see. We have another whole year before the first caucus. So it should be fascinating. Zach, thanks on the podcast. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Later.